Hey there, Shop Maniacs. You're listening to another episode of Shop Talk Show podcast, front end, web design, development, all kinds of things. I'm Dave Rupert. With me is Chris Coyer. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
No, I'm doing infinitely good, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
Really, that's how good I'm doing. We have a special guest this week who I'm excited to talk to because he makes cool products along with his team at tldraw. We have Steve Ruiz, right? From Did I say it right?
I say Ruiz, but
Ruiz.
My Spanish friends say no. You're saying that wrong. It's, it's Ruiz, and everything. I'm like, it's complicated. It's Colombian, but via the Midwest. So
your friends tell you it's wrong. Yeah, I mean, I have a last name Coyer that ends in er. That's French, and people are like, it's Coyer. I'm like, you know what? You're probably right, actually.
It's my name.
But yeah.
I sort of get to call the shots on my name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it says the person with a Anglophone compatible.
Yeah. I'm like Lord British the Third over here. Jesus.
Over here is Gout.
Two first names. Oh my god. All right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me on. I was saying just before we had recorded that I've probably listened to like over 100 episodes of Shop Talk. It used to be a big part of my technical podcast rotation. So yeah, it's great to be on and chatting with you guys in person.
Well, it's our pleasure for sure.
Yeah, I use tldraw. I use tldraw all the time. So
really?
Like it's
I
mean,
it's great.
Well, I this is maybe getting too far ahead, but like there's just stuff like, I can just do it in my editor. I can be like new tldraw and and then start like documenting something and then just save it as a file. And that's like, dude, that like architecture diagrams, all that crap, and you just like it's there in the repo now.
That's
know,
awesome.
and it's super handy from that like perspective for me, even just to like, let's just do this but visual. We're not spinning up a Figma, we're not doing all that, we're just doing it right here. Right,
exactly. That's where I was going to go with this too. You need a URL in your head where you're like, I need to draw some shapes and some text and some arrows right now. And there's options and they all suck except for tldraw. Like for real.
I appreciate that.
I mean, they do though, especially because you made this choice where when you get to tldraw.com, because you have some other domains that we'll get to, it's the canvas is right there. So that's great. And then there's just some simple tools and you draw and whatever. This story gets infinitely more interesting because I think it locked in a lot of our heads as like the good one for that job. And then the next time you're in the news, you're like, also anything you draw can be code in a UI or something.
A computer.
Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That box you drew, it's a computer. So
like your news cycle went from a little
so
drawing.
Should I give it a quick intro? I know we're kind of
let's do it.
Totally. Yeah. Let us know.
All right. So I'm Steve Ruiz. I'm the founder of a startup called tldraw, which grew out of a open source project of mine called tldraw. And we make a product called tldraw, which is a very good free whiteboard. But that is also built with the tldraw SDK, which is a TypeScript and React library for building infinite canvas apps in React. And that is the thing that we commercialize. So if you wanted to build something that kind of worked like Miro or worked like Figma, but you wanted to do it on the web and you wanted to do it in React, and I mean like all React, like every shape on the canvas being a little React component, you could do that with tldraw. And it's very good. And if you're not a developer, you can totally use tldraw.com. It's free, it's good, it's collaborative, and it should be, like you guys are saying, pretty lightweight. We also have a VS Code extension, so you can work with files if you don't even want to go online. And yeah, we put a lot of time and effort into making it, getting all the little things right, essentially.
Right,
so
right,
it should be a high quality experience, whether you're building with it or just using it. And then
when you go to tldraw.com, essentially you're looking at angle bracket tldraw.
Pretty much, yeah. There's like, there's some kind of application glue kind of code of like, oh, use this bucket for images or here, use this particular multiplayer service but it's the same canvas, the same multiplayer service even that we make available to developers through the SDK. It's like a good reference implementation, essentially, but it just happens to be also very popular reference implementation. It's like a kind of a demo that's grown beyond being just a demo.
I see that. Yeah, and like it has like auth, right? You don't get auth for free with it, right?
Yeah. Although you don't have to log in, you can still use it if you don't log in. It's right. I don't care. Just don't reset your browser storage because that's where the
you'll
drawing
lose
is.
your diagrams.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. What is it? Is it just
Index
local
DB?
storage or
IndexedDB? What's cool is if you open tldraw without logging in two different tabs, the document will sync between the two different tabs, which you kind of have to do in order to prevent these like kind of stale document bugs from like overwriting.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, but that's all happening locally. That's happening using like browser messaging. So it's like it's one of the many flexes, the little detail flexes that I do when I'm.
That is a heck of a flex. People listening, you should be impressed by this because that means that you're using, because you can also do it on a computer in another country, and that's real time as well.
That uses
which means you have two
WebSocket.
different real time implementations.
It is the same system, believe it or not. It's just how the messaging is being handled. Is it being handled via browser? What is it called? Broadcast message? Browser broadcast? You guys are the web. The web podcast, you should know.
That's it.
Broadcast API, and the other is handling the messaging via WebSockets. But
broadcast channel API.
Broadcast channel API. Oh, very good job. Good job.
I guess I don't. Yeah, I don't use it. I don't think I've ever used. I've done some cross-browsery stuff like syncing, but never. I don't think I use this. So
you can make tabs and windows talk to each other, which is kind of fun.
That's handy.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's blowing my mind a little. I almost wish I didn't learn that just now, because we have, we have that real live, collab stuff on CodePen. Actually, Dave found this bug not long ago, where you had two tabs open on CodePen, and we do real time automatically that way too. And that just two tabs in the same browser counts as that. We need to reconcile for that situation. Mm-hmm. But we don't do it with broadcast channel. We just send it all through the same stuff. We use Ably, some kind of WebSockety real time thing.
Same thing. It's just if you're offline, like then you can get into those problems.
Yeah.
And, it was weird. It was like I looked at the thing on my phone and then closed my laptop because a kid had to go to bed. Mm-hmm. And then my phone said, "Great, I'm now in charge." And I'm like 10 versions behind, and it just saved, and so then I opened my laptop up to like get cooking again, and it was like 10 versions ago, and I was just like, oh no, that's
right.
fun.
If you're if you're logged in,
well, we fixed it.
You can
it's
handle
fixed,
it.
yeah.
It was
This stuff is hard. That's all I'm really getting at. Is distributed. Like
I stare at the ceiling every night thinking about how tlDraw's data lives on like 100,000 different little computers all over the world. Like I have 100,000 little databases that all need to be migrated when people like go to the website after.
That's got to be hard, huh? Like if you ever were to change your schema or like I don't even know what you'd save. I guess I could dig into a TLDR file, but like what, if you changed it, it's probably bad news, huh?
No, we have. I mean, this is the being an SDK really does keep you honest. Like you do have to think about all these problems because someone else is going to do it as well. We have a really good system for handling migrations per record, per like the whole version, and that's baked into the schema, the actual files that we persist. We include that schema in those versions and things, and it just works. I have a very good engineer working for me, David Sheldrick, who has designed a lot of the systems that are including the multiplayer sync and other things. And we went. I just invested a lot of time and money into that migration system alone because I knew that it would be it had to be really good, and it also had to be easy enough to use that people actually used it, like downstream users. So, yeah, very, very proud of that, although it's less visible and less showy than the cross-tab sync and some of these other things.
That's funny. Yeah, the best engineering is like just a 10,000 line TypeScript file or something. It's just like on how to move whatever from version 1 to version 2. But that's cool. Well, and so a lot's into this. It's an infinite canvas.
Mm-hmm.
It's multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's multi-browser on the same system.
Yeah.
We're
Mobile
saving
too.
data.
Yeah.
We're also like plugging into VS Code, but like that's, I mean, if I watched a talk of yours like from an AI conference I think recently, and like that's kind of where it starts sort of now, right? Like what's new in tldraw?
Yeah. Well, the especially on the SDK side, the proposition that I'm making is like you can build cool stuff on top of tldraw. That we've solved all the kind of undifferentiated part of the canvas, and you can use it in the same way that you'd probably use like, I don't know, Monaco editor or like Mapbox or these other things, which is like I'm not gonna build that, but I will build products on top of it, right? I will like use it inside of stuff.
It does make sense as an add-on or part of the core proposition. Like I don't know, it makes I use it in Zoom, but it's not built into Zoom. But it's just if I happen to be on a Zoom call, I'll just be like, well, let's look at a tldraw quick because I need to draw some crap for you.
If you're Zoom listening, Zoom does have their own whiteboard inside of Zoom. I don't know if you've ever found it, but
I have, right? And I'm surely they're big enough that they wrote their own, but they could just pay you, right?
They should just pay me. Come on, Steve at tldraw.com. Get out of Zoom.
I hear they have a chat app too inside
Do
Zoom,
they?
and I've never seen it. Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Apparently, you could talk to people.
It's incredible how far you can get. Little indie project.
Right? Any company that wants to slide in.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a good foundation, and it's meant to be a really good foundation for other things. And if I'm talking, if I've set up this beautiful situation where I'm like, now I have to prove it. I have to prove that you can build cool things and interesting things on top of the foundation as well, which gives me the very great position of having a very business aligned screwing around type of job. So we've done a lot of
starting to make more sense now.
Right,
all these little expereriments you do are examples of cool stuff you could build on the tldraw foundation.
Absolutely. They're examples, they're marketing, they're references. A lot of them are open source. And they're just us like trying to put some pressure on the SDK and say like, what more do we have to build? tldraw.com as an application, as a whiteboarding app, gives us a lot of feature set, things that we have to handle. But like at one point we were doing autocomplete on the canvas and using AI to generate the autocomplete.
Wow.
Which was nuts and hilarious also because it was this is not a thing that models are good
at. The hangman setup or something, it might be like, oh, I see what you're trying to do.
Exactly. But it was really quite cool because it would it was nuts. I mean, like the model was just out of its mind with its suggestions. Like it would, you draw a circle and then like another circle inside of it, smaller, kind of off to the side, and it's like, oh yeah, you're drawing a face. Let me draw the other eye on the face, right? And then you'd accept that, but then it would say, oh look, the user is drawing circles in a row. They've done 2 already. Let me add the third one. It would suggest an eye off to the side of the head, like a third eye, and it would just keep going like that. So it would fall into these, I don't know, patterns and things that were just totally nuts, and it was beautiful and fun. But as part of that, like we had to handle this case where there's like a suggested shape on the canvas, so something that is there, but it's also not there. And,
opacity 0.5, bro.
Yeah, but it's also a collaborative app. So like if it's in the document, it's going to be suggested for everyone, so you'll see my auto completed too. So we had to be like, oh yeah, this would actually be, yes, transparent and, grayed out, but also like we need to handle this case where a shape is like within a certain person's, domain, but like no one else's and stuff. So there's, those types of things, we just wouldn't run into them unless we were building cool stuff with it.
I see.
But our users would run into them, and our system doesn't handle those things. So we should be kind of working ahead of them. Uh, and I just I want to learn to use, I want to play with the AI toys too. I want to build with this stuff myself. And boy, we've had some interesting projects in that direction.
So one of them wasn't it? I don't think I ever saw the autocomplete one, but I did see the one where you do a little sketch in tldraw, and then it would like make it better.
Yeah, it was called Make Real, and this was the, I would never say this, but it was described to me by one of the people at Lovable as the world's first vibe coding app. But I wouldn't claim it myself, but I'm just repeating what other people have said.
Put it on LinkedIn, but don't.
And what it was is that the GPT-4 with Vision had just dropped. This is almost exactly 2 years ago. And that was the first time that developers could use a model that was that could see, essentially, that could work with images. And there was a designer who named Sawyer Hood, who was actually working at Figma at the time, who built this prototype of using tldraw as a place where you would draw like a user interface or like a wireframe, essentially, and click a button, and it would send that screenshot. It would extract the screenshot from tldraw. You can do that in tldraw, and send it to the AI and say, "Hey AI, you're a developer. You're a TypeScript or a Tailwind expert. You're a whatever. Yeah. Create a working prototype based on this wireframe." And it would. I mean, it could write code it back then. Now it could see, and it would make a really pretty good one-pager, like single file project based on what you had drawn.
And so the prompt was just what you drew and your own secret sauce behind the scenes of a prompt that did, okay. And one time, or did it go back and forth a little bit?
In Sawyer's demo, which I think he got into a little bit of trouble at Figma for, since it was built with tldraw. Anyway, in Sawyer's demo, it was just that. It was just like the one shot. But for us, I mean, like, tldraw's canvas is like a normal website thing. There's no like canvas element. Like, it's participating in normal browser rendering, right? So that, you look at a diagram and it's like a whole bunch of SVGs and divs and stuff like that on the canvas, which means it also supported iframes, which means you could put the website that you just created back on the canvas. And that was already like really cool, because now you could kind of have multiple generations in parallel and other things. And then we're like, what happens if you draw on top of the website and use that as the next prompt? Like if they gave me if I drew like a login screen or whatever, and it said on the top, it said like welcome back, and then it had an input and a button, for a username, password, whatever, continue. That you could double click into that. You could use it, it's a really working website here, right? It's just sitting inside of the canvas. But then if you took the pen or something and like crossed out the welcome back, the title, and then you used that as the next input, the AI would just treat that as like a markup of its previous work. It'd treat that as like an annotation, and it would create another one that was the same code but without the welcome back thing. And so suddenly it went from like being this like kind of one shot like wow toy to being like, oh, that's like you could actually work with that. You could really iterate towards particular behaviors or add complexity. Like, it's a workflow.
I think it is actually vibe coding, because didn't the guy who coined vibe coding say like you don't even look at the code? It's not about that. It's about
there's no code to look at.
Now everybody just uses it.
Yeah.
It's the vibiest vibe coding. We set the bar high. It was nothing but vibe. But it was amazing what people had built with it. Like, you could put in a screenshot of like Stripe and say like, hey, make this look like this and stuff. And it would just do it.
That's cool. I was doing like a vibe coding thing this morning, and a lot of it was, okay, get this div named this with this class, and then remove the margin, and like, or like, make it not purple, and so like,
if only there was a structured language for this type of thing.
Yeah. Well, it would be a total flip to be like, no, I'm just iPadding and watching my screen change, but like That would be kind of cool. I don't know, from like a whatever. Let's just see what we can do perspective. Yeah, the demo is impressive. I guess I also want
Thank
to
you.
say
Yep.
it's just very like whoa.
It's so cool that it's almost surprising to me that you're like investors or whatever. And we're like, this is just as cool or cooler than tldraw itself. So
There
could you
are
do that?
there are so many startups that we could have done in tldraw.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see. Uh, I mean, we saw it immediately. Like it was a huge moment, by the way. This like went massively viral in the end of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But now Google's a customer, and what is Google using it for? It's for annotation. Like it's for this type of workflow. So I think we're still
That's great.
a great kind of leader in the space of like using drawing and using visual kind of tooling in order to prompt models, and they're still good at it, and it's massively underexplored. And if you're building one of these tools, you should definitely, whether it's us or something else, like include that annotation ability, because it's just so easy to do things which in text would become like terribly hard, of like moving things from exactly here to exactly here, or all that stuff.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Underexplored, indeed. This all really comes together with the computer thing. So I'd love to get you to talk about that, because that
Yeah,
one's
all right.
still that one's working great, right? I was using it today. It's awesome.
Were you? Yeah. All right. That's great.
Well, I knew you were coming on, so I
Okay.
had an excuse to play with it. But it's not. I don't know. I'll let you talk about it first, because we need to make sure people understand what it does.
Okay. This is going to be hard on because it's these are all visual products, but if you can
Mouth
imagine
flogging, we call it.
a whiteboard where you have different components that are connected with arrows, and like pretty loosely connected with arrows. So it's not like a patch programming type of thing where you have like input and output values and you're wiring things up in particular ways. You're just like, this points to this, this points to this, this points to this.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those things on the canvas are what we call components, but whatever. They're just like blocks. Maybe we should call them blocks. And
Nah,
each one of them,
just kidding.
each one of them, it does a kind of a thing using AI, right? So you might have a thing that creates an image. And so it has a kind of an internal, what we call procedure that says, look at all of your inputs, so other components that are connected to you with an arrow that point towards you. And based on those inputs, create a prompt for like an image model, and then run the image model prompt and then get the image back and put it inside of the block or inside the component. And whatever is pointing into, like whatever those inputs are, is going to determine the image that gets connected or created. And those inputs could be other images, it could be text, they could be an entire website, it could be anything, right? There's a kind of a shared interface for what these pieces of data can be, these inputs and outputs. And yeah, they could be other AI powered components, right? Like it could be a different image that was also created based on its inputs, right? So it's kind of like a directed graph of these little components connected to each other. And there are also block or whatever components named instructions, where you type in a natural language thing that you want this thing to do based on or produce based on its inputs. And the AI comes up with the procedure, right? You say, write a poem, and the AI is going to write a procedure like, based on your inputs, scan for thematic context and poetic valence, and write a poem, and then export it as a text data object or whatever like that. And we thought this would be a cool way of like just generating content and like chaining all of these like multimodal prompts together. But really, really quickly, we realized like, oh, you could just do computer stuff with this. Like you could have a text thing that has, JSON in it, like state is 0 or count is 0. Yeah. And with the right kind of instructions and arrows and stuff, you can have it, make that number go up, right? Because this thing can include cycles, so it'll just loop, and take the state as the input, update the state that is one more and the output, and go. And then we added condition statements of like evaluate the statements, and the answer could be yes, no, or since we're using AI for everything here, it could also be maybe. And then now you have a branching system that will essentially have an exit condition. And there's really nothing that you can do with code that you couldn't do with this. It's just, it's not running, I mean, it is running code, but it's not like using the code to process any of this. It's using AI to process anything. So it is the world's most expensive and wasteful counter or whatever. Sure. And it's much slower than normal code. And it's much harder to express certain things with tldraw computer than it is with normal code. But it's fascinating because, like, again, the thing that's like running, that's evaluating everything is a language model. And so it can, like, let's say you have an instruction that says add up all of your inputs and output it as a number. All right, cool. You give it two little text blocks, and one of them says 1 and one of them says 3, and it's going to output a 4, right? Easy. But if you give it like 1 and 3 and like a hand-drawn drawing of an octopus, it'll give you 12. Because an octopus is kind of 8, I guess. Like
symbolizes 8, yeah. Wow.
Or if you give a photograph of you holding up 4 fingers, it'd be like, yeah, like,
that's wild.
The prompts that we give it are like,
it's going to go, actually, the thumb is not a finger.
Yeah.
That door.
I can share my little one that I did this morning, like, just coerce for the YouTube
data
people.
To be what you want it to be. And it's just a lot of fun. I think as an introduction to AI and as an introduction to like multi-stage prompting and workflows and all this stuff, like it's a great.
Maybe I'll try to show the one I did today. Where's my computer one? Can you see that okay?
Oh yeah.
I was like, I'm thinking of getting a sleeve tattoo, right? So I was like, I'm gonna have it like draw a dude with his arms out, and then I'm gonna have it draw some overlapping circle stuff, because I didn't like trust image generation to do it in one prompt, like circles on an arm. So I was like, I'm going to do them separately, and then I'm going to combine. I'm sure I did this all wrong. It probably can.
It looks fine. I mean, it works.
Whatever, yeah. And then it smashes into this arm tat, like, which is exactly what I wanted to see.
Really?
Like, hey, that's a cool idea. And then I was like, oh, he's got set interval in there. I could just like make this
every
thing.
30 seconds.
Yeah, just go, baby. Show it on different arms.
That's
awesome.
I
didn't spend that long on it, but that's the kind of thing. And you can see why tldraw is a great foundation for this, because it has all this crap, the cool arrows and I don't know. It just seems like a great demonstration of why tldraw as a foundation is so cool to build these types of ideas. Yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. It's great to hear. I mean, like, I think like there's a bunch of guys in like, well, I don't know, a bunch of people within the HCI community, the human computer interaction community, which are, really into building these types of experimental, essentially demos, like demos of theories about direct manipulation apps and like canvases and stuff. But it's always been a frustration that, like, the core idea, the part that is like unique to that research for them is like really quite small. But in order to like demonstrate it, they have to build like the canvas, and then the canvas doesn't have alt drag. So if you're like using it and, or whatever, you can't rotate stuff or all that stuff. And like, tldraw computer, it took us like 6 weeks, end to end. I built the first prototype in a weekend and showed it to my 6-year-old daughter, and she got it immediately. And I'm like, all right, we're shipping this. Like, let's go.
It's a good sign.
And, all the stuff that we didn't have to build just sort of worked because we'd already built it. It's just part of the
It's
canvas.
Interesting that it's so DOM-y instead of, it's a different approach than Figma's like whatever it is. I think it is a canvas, right? And
yeah, it's like a canvas element, WebGL. Yeah.
Yeah, which means you ain't putting an iframe on it. You ain't putting all this other stuff on it. Yeah.
It's a trade-off, and I think graphical apps like Figma make the right decision there of let's make the ceiling as high as possible. Let's like, make sure that you're like the DOM is many things, but it's not. You get a lot you have to sacrifice a lot in terms of yeah, like ceiling, I suppose. The floor is still pretty good, and honestly, most people who use tldraw won't ever hit a performance issue at all. Like it works. We've done a really good job at making it fast, but it wouldn't. I wouldn't build a design tool in it necessarily, well, or like a Figma style graphical design tool. I wouldn't build Photoshop or
The
Illustrator
dumb stuff.
that inside of the DOM. But most people aren't building that. Most people, most people that I
Yeah.
talk to are building like, oh, we want a place to, basically a whiteboard, except with this extra stuff on top of it. Or we want to build a tool for doing UI design that connects to my code base, and or we want to see our AWS dashboards on the canvas, and all these other things where,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not about building 10 million nested frames and making sure that can still, I don't know, um, zoom in and out without crashing your browser on mobile. I don't know, it doesn't work on mobile anyway, but yeah, or
Yeah.
tldraw does. But anyway, these tools with Canvas don't. But it's more about just making sure that the interactive content works, about making sure that you can actually practically develop it, which is hard to do on other things.
It makes me wonder, have you ever seen anybody hook up their own? Because you think, wireframing, fine, because the default of tldraw is like these, black rectangles on
Hmm.
white background and stuff. But that black rectangle is like a div,
Yeah, it's a
right?
div with an
Basically,
SVG in it. Yeah.
yeah. So, but it doesn't have to be, right? Like if you
No.
paid
Oh,
for tldraw and did your own thing, it could be a angle bracket image comparison slider or whatever else from your design system.
yeah, yeah. People like a lot of times. I mean, the real like at one point, tldraws canvas was just one big SVG. Uh, because I
Hmm.
built a different app before this called Globs, which was a design app that used globs as the only primitive that you could use. It's still there, globs.design. It's really fun. But that's just one big SVG. tldraw was the same way. And then one of like an early sponsor of the project, a kind of design partner, was like, hey, we want to put a to-do list on the canvas. And we already have the to-do list like elsewhere in our app. Um, is there any way for us just to use that to-do list? Exactly. And I was like, well,
SVG
actually,
foreign object
kind
kind
of. You
of.
could do for an object, and then I'm like, no, you know what? I don't think that's not really well supported on all the browsers, and there's kind of some other stuff. And I did my research, and it turned out that the browser is just way better at rendering hundreds or thousands of SVGs inside of a div than it is rendering a single SVG with a lot of different things inside of it. So I was like, 2 days later, I'm like, all right, I've changed everything. But yes, now you can put in your custom to-do list on the canvas, and a lot of our customers, yeah, do that. Their users just take it's like ClickUp is a customer. They use tldraw for their whiteboard, and yeah, you can put your to-dos or your documents or whatever on the canvas, and it's the exact same editor, like the exact same React component that they use. I don't know elsewhere in the ClickUp app, uh, but it's just rendering inside of one of our little shapes. So
I see. I
Wow.
see. That's it. Not only can it not doesn't have to be a div or a DOM element, it could be a interactive React
yeah,
node.
yeah, it could be. I mean, whatever you got, you can put it
Yeah.
in there. You could even, I mean, whether it's like an iframe, like literally anything that you can put on the canvas. It's a lot like if you guys use like Notion. Notion is a structured document editor, but it's built with the web, so anything you can put on a website will work inside of Notion. And so that's how
Right.
they get things like embeds, or that's how they get things like videos and images, because
Yeah,
it's
there are some
really trivial.
parallels there. Just they
But
enforce some constraints over
yeah,
where it can go and
for
stuff.
sure, we're an
Uh,
extra dimension or two.
oh yeah, yeah. They're infinite canvas in the
It only
vertical
goes in one
direction.
direction. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
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 Lowering. I think this is like sorely needed, or like this tool like computer. It is sorely needed in this like AI workflow system because I
Mhm.
mean at its core like an LLM has like a system prompt and a developer prompt, right? That's configured by the builders, and then the user prompt, like make me a cat or whatever, and then the engineer's prompt like always make the coolest thing that they
Make no mistake.
want, make it Studio Ghibli. And then the like system prompt is like no pornography, no drugs, stuff like that, right? Like, so it's like just very like, and having that visualized. And now we're in this whole other era. Like, this has been like my week or whatever, but it's just like, agents, and then these agents call other skills and all this, and so it's just this like tree of context happening. And I just have to know, even like Claude, if you like run through Claude and be like, add a kitty cat to my homepage, it's going through a flow that it thinks is correct. It will then like go step by step, ask a question, yes, no trees or whatever. And it's cool, but I think, if you're like a designer or somebody who doesn't live in terminal all day, that can be sort of opaque to be like, let's just terminal our way through this, So I like this kind of visual medium of like, here's kind of where we're going through or drawing our way through, like building what you said, or this is our decision tree that we're kind of making. I think that's sorely needed for like stuff like these.
You're saying cursor needs a little TL draw in the corner so you can be like, no, like this. And then you just draw.
Basically like, don't I had the situation where it's like it scaffolded the whole application in like 1 second, and that's like amazing, good job, way to go. But then it's like, then I'm like, okay, update this, and it's like, oh, there's just like so much stuff, bro, and so it's like, yeah, you just wrote all that stuff, like what do we do, so I think like, it would be kind of like, hey, build this piece first, and then we'll build this piece. Like that would be kind of cool to tell a computer to do.
Yeah.
Which I guess I could type all that out, but man, like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you that I'm like kind of like discovering this. Like discovering this as I'm working. Like I'm like, I don't have any specific edge on knowledge about AI. Like I don't have a ML background, or I've never built, like first AI stuff was probably with GPT-3, where we were trying to get it to do like a pen plotter type of thing, but it wasn't good because I couldn't see yet and all that stuff. So I'm definitely with you that I'm trying to catch up, constantly trying to catch up, or stay on top of the way that these things are happening. But I think that the canvas kind of gives you a lot. How do I say this? A lot of the problems in AI, I would say, the UX problems of AI, are the same kind of UX problems that you have when working with other people or working, on any projects. And the tooling is just way behind that. Like we've solved a lot of problems around collaboration, using various interfaces or whatever. Like we know how to do a to-do list. I do feel like we're kind of rediscovering this within the context of AI. Like I feel that all the time of like, oh wait, isn't this like this other thing? Like, aren't we just reinventing email, but just between these agents? Like, oh yeah, like, all right, well, let's just use email, like, or let's use some sort of thing that works like it. We've done a lot recently with kind of agents inside of tldraw. If this works, I'll give you a demo because I'm so proud. I don't know if people follow me on Twitter, they've probably seen this Fairies, the Fairies stuff. Have you seen the Fairies stuff at all?
I have no
this
idea.
is new to you guys. All right, let me see if let me see. Let me share my screen.
Like FAE.
Like like little like floating flying.
Okay, got it. Just making sure we're talking about the same
we're
thing,
talking
like Peter
about
Pan
We're
stuff.
talking about Peter Pan,
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. You got it. Give me 1 second. This is a video podcast as well, right? I'll try and
we have YouTubes and we can mouth blog it. So
good. I'll try and be as talky as possible for the benefit of the people listening. This normal tldraw, I've enabled Fairies for myself, whatever. And in the bottom right corner, there's a little panel where you can talk to grab these Fairies, and these Fairies are essentially agents that are spatially kind of like aware. They're placed on the canvas, and I can talk to it. I can say, "Hey, a, make me a task list for my app I'm making called Cat Delivery, where a person can order cats. If you need a couple of cats, you got it. All right. So this is you could see it
So
thinking.
not the UI for a cat list, but just a list of tasks.
Yeah, just give me like all the tasks, the things that I need to do. And now it's making the stuff on the canvas.
Oh,
And
wow. This
yeah,
is, it looks a little,
it's a little crowded here. I think they're overlapping. So we'll see if it recognizes that. So it should review its work, but no, there we go. Created it.
Looks good.
Looking at the image, there's some
made you a little
issues
Trello.
overlapping. Yeah, yeah. So let's see if it can figure out the fact that all of the notes are overlapping. Oh, there we go.
Well, it's doing in coordinates. Oh gosh, there's some self-awareness here. Oh, that's a lot of tickets.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
quite a lot. We have to do some back end stuff as well. Let me help
watch
it here.
out, Notion. Look at that. I can't.
Yeah. And now let me do the next one.
I like
cool.
that the fairy is flapping its wings.
This is good.
While it's doing that.
Yes. Well, this is the thing that like I was saying, like one of the problems, I don't know if you guys use Claude Code, but I'm constantly running like a bunch of Claude codes all at the same time. And I have such a hard time just remembering which ones are which. And so, or like which ones are active, which ones are waiting on me, all that. And so I think, like here you can customize the Fairies hat, which should help. It should help to differentiate between the fairies, because you can also have a bunch of fairies at the same time. So let me select all these guys.
See, this is what people want to see. Where's Maggie Appleton, right? She's always writing about like, you need to start thinking about AI. It's not just a chatbot. It could be any kind of thing. And everybody's like, how about an input? Steve's like, how about little fairies? Amazing.
She's a dear friend of the draw. She's a dear friend. Let me select this guy as the leader. Make the wireframes for my app. And so sometimes you need
put them all to work.
Yeah, you want to have agents working together, right? I mean, this is a collaborative canvas. This should have the ability for not just the things to work with me, and they can see my stuff and I can see their stuff, but they should also be able to work with each other. So this is stuff that we're working on right now. This will probably be the next kind of some marketing-driven, Twitter-driven development project that we work on, where I think they've split up the task into here's the to-do list where into the different staged wireframe.
So one of them makes a plan and then it starts giving them the other fairies jobs.
Yes, exactly. This one's in boss mode, and so it's created the plan and distributed it to the other fairies. Now, much like Make Real or much like tldraw Computer, this is firmly in the realm of kind of crappy, but also kind of amazing. I hope. These models are not great at doing stuff on the canvas, but I think it hopefully it kind of points towards a future where we have where we have more collaboration on the canvas potentially with these agents.
Yeah, it does make you want to see this in Claude Code, doesn't it? Because I constantly use or in Cursor, you select some code and then you hit like Command K or add to chat or whatever it is, because you're always like, please work on the code that I'm pointing you towards.
Right.
And it's a little bit like that. Like,
I think
I've given you some instructions and some like, I don't know, stay here-ish.
Yes. I think the kind of like, I don't know, we have all sorts of fun things that we want to try with these guys of having different agents that are kind of like responsible for different parts of the canvas. You can imagine a kind of like
AI companies love this. They're like, you just burned 5x the tokens because you have 5 little fairies floating around.
Every fairy matters to the bottom line. But those aren't bad wireframes, and they're actual stuff on the game. It's not like an image or anything like that. So
Right. I've been to
I can live with that.
hackathons where it took us till 2:30 in the afternoon to get this far.
Yeah,
You know?
they just need to know how to not make things on top of each other. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, but some of it too is like just it's getting a wireframe or prototype or something that you can react to and be like, yep, nope, nope, yep, nope,
yeah,
like, and I'm, I do like the prototyping and wireframing part of the job, like I think people who are good at it are good at it and all that, like they should be able to do that as a job. But I think it's just kind of this interesting, like, you know, it gives you, I think I read a post or something is like AI is good when you need a lot of options or you need
mm,
to like react to an option to see if it's the right thing. And I think this is a great example. I also love the like,
It's like Google image search or whatever with my tattoo. I know what I kind of want, but I also want to look at like 100 examples. Just,
yeah, yeah.
and in a sense, AI, it's not its only job, but it could be one thing that it's good at is just like get me a little further down the road so I can compare stuff. I've heard
you know,
the yeah,
one
go
of
ahead.
like the customer categories or something for TealDraw is creative agencies, where there's like a phase where you're like sitting down with the creative director and you're like, all right, let's come up with a bunch of ideas for the marketing campaign or something like that, ad campaign. And if you've watched like Mad Men, like they used to have a guy in the corner with a sketch pad being like, do you want it to look like this, or do you want it to
Mhm.
look like this? And none of those were going to become the thing that you put in front of your customers. It was all just kind of just sketching, right? And apparently the doing like AI slop, especially on a canvas, like in something like Miro or in my customers' cases, in something like tldraw, uh, just accelerates the hell out of that process of just like, let's whip out tons and tons of like throwaway visual media so that we can like dial in what this customer wants. Do they want it, okay, they love this Western, theme for the beer campaign. Like what if we, well, what if it wasn't a Western? What if it was in space instead? And they'd say, oh, no, 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 definitely a Western. Or like, well, actually, you know what? I think it could be better if it was something else. And like, well, let's see that, because the output you're not like making the ad, you're not making the videos, you're not making the images, but you're just trying to make that decision, right? Like, just show me all the options and guide me through
Yeah.
that.
And if you can just see a little bit of it, you might know the vibes are way off
Yeah. Yeah.
quicker. Oh,
I mean,
all right.
designers do this all the time. Like the alt drag to copy, in Figma is probably like my most used feature because
Alt
I'm like,
drag to
I would like
draw.
to make
What's that?
small differences to this 100 times. Yeah. You know what I mean? The kind of clone drag, the
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
duplicates that
I see what
modify
you mean.
this. Yeah.
Alt drag
Yeah.
and you just get an exact copy. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
do that in
It's
tldraw true,
duplicate.
right?
Yeah.
So what's the best thing that could happen to, tldraw, the company?
Ooh, best thing that could happen to tldraw the company. Uh, I think if we end up being like the default choice for this kind of software, like if someone's building a Canvas thing or integrating a Canvas or wants that type of feature, if it was impossible not to use tldraw, or if like then that or not that, but if it didn't make sense, if it never made any sense, couldn't make sense not to use tldraw, then that would be good. That means we've done our job right, right? Um, but also, I think that the canvas itself becoming more popular or becoming like a more expected part of productivity software or just an expanded category would be great for like I would be very happy about that.
Yeah,
And it's so
make the canvas cool again. The
it's just
infinite
like
canvas.
massively underexplored. Like all the big canvas apps that I can think of are fairly traditional. They're whiteboards, they're design tools, they're maybe
Mm.
patch programming, maybe workflow tools. But boy, you can do a lot with the canvas. Like there is. I mean, people have used this as authoring environments for games and liquid simulations. Folks have built, essentially 3D chat or like 2D chat, situations, and certainly all this AI stuff is really pushing the boundaries of the types of software where you could use this. People have built, uh, all sorts of stuff that don't look like or work like whiteboards or design tools, and who knows, maybe the killer use case of the canvas is still out there,
It
waiting
might
to be
be.
discovered.
Yeah,
They're
it might
expensive to
be.
make, so yeah.
The infinite part is interesting too. Is
Mm.
there's been I wish I had the research of this, but maybe it was, I think of it as Adobe Illustrator, but there was like a time before in Illustrator where you had to define the rectangle you're about to draw in, and then there was some release at some point where they stopped. You still can do that if you want to, but by default they said just draw wherever. And that was like I was like, oh my gosh, that was the first like infinite canvas moment I had. That's like, actually, I think that's really smart. I don't know if Adobe was the first or whatever, but then it started to become a little bit more the norm, that it's like, I don't know, you just have infinity space, I guess.
Yeah. It's great. It's because most people don't use it. Like a lot of folks, most people don't use all of infinity when they work. But for example, like
Semi-infinite? Is
Figma
that
is not
possible?
an infinite canvas. It feels like an infinite canvas, but it's actually just a very large canvas, right? Like it has a
Interesting.
and it's not even comparatively, it's not even that large. It's like 30,000 by 30,000 or something like this. But you just don't ever reach the borders. But the borders
I've
are
never
there.
even thought to just keep dragging.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
could find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. tldraw is infinite, but I'm sure there's some sort of like 64-bit,
Memory
number
problem.
that'll roll over. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
can find the error screen or the kill screen in tldraw if you go far enough.
Nice.
It has made certain feature work a lot more interesting. Like the mini map actually is like a really gnarly piece of coding. Just because, like, how do you do in Minimap on an infinite canvas? And so
Well,
it's
isn't it a UX concern, right? You're like, I know I drew a little flower. Where the hell is it?
oh yeah,
But
it needs to
yeah,
be there. It needs to,
right.
but like how you show, it's just like dynamically defining the size of the bounds of the canvas that are shown in the minimap based on, because it's showing the whole canvas. It's just the canvas is infinite, so we're showing just where the shapes are. But yeah, that was crazy
That.
piece of
And then when it comes to exporting, isn't it like I don't need 30,000 pixels. I need whatever I happen to draw.
Yeah, if you export the whole canvas, sometimes you will, and your canvas is large. Sometimes you will end up with like a 50 megabyte PNG that's like gigantic and will crash your preview app on Mac or something. But you have
That's on you.
that's what you asked for. Yeah, man. I did learn that there is a maximum size of the canvas element on all of the different browsers as well. Every browser has its own definition of what that maximum size can be.
Oh, interesting.
And so you cannot make a canvas that's larger than that. But we only use that canvas element when we're exporting an image, because you have to like.
Oh yeah, you just draw to it real quick and then yeah.
But if your image, depending on your browser, if your image is like 100,000 by 100,000 or 100,001 by 100,000, it'll say like, nope, sorry, too big,
Be rough.
can't do that.
Hmm.
Gotta respect memory.
Oh, yeah, I bet there's all kinds of edges. Like, what if there's you're at like minute 1 and 29 seconds into a YouTube video? You don't get that in the export, do you? Like the
I don't know. Hold on, wait. Like on the canvas, you mean?
when you export, if you like have a
Like if
paused
you have a YouTube video on the
video,
canvas, no, you won't. That won't be included in the export, because
no,
the other.
too
I mean,
weird.
working in the browser is one of those other trade-offs that we had to make. Right? Is that like the browser does not give you a way to get a texture of an element. You can't say, "Hey, give me this HTML element. Give me this div, but as an image." Like, does the browser have that knowledge? Yeah, it definitely has that knowledge, right?
It totally
Like
does, because you can do it in DevTools,
yeah, but yes, but when you do it in DevTools, it's not giving you the raw texture that's in memory. if you ever do like, have you ever noticed how it like kind of flashes on the screen for a second when you do
Yeah.
like a export screenshot in the dev tools?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to render it. It like has to paint it. It has to put it on the screen. And then
Mm.
the thing that is exporting it is like Chrome, right? Like Chrome will give you the texture or something like that, but it still needs to like paint it first, and
Yeah.
like kind of load that texture in, and then Chrome will do that. But Chrome won't do
Well, I
that
guess we
for
know that it does through view transitions now, right? Because it aren't those all the view transitions people tell you that they're not screenshots, but they're kind of screenshots,
yeah,
right?
their
Like
text,
when
yeah. But
They're
yeah.
that's
not screenshots.
again.
I swear.
Again, you can't. I mean, like you can screenshot something just by saying like whatever will change transform. It's just like, hey, don't repaint this. Treat it like a texture. Put it on its own layer or whatever. But like, there's no API. There's no JavaScript API that I can call that says, hey, grab that texture from here and I don't know, download it or put it on a canvas or do something else. And I think that's for security reasons. But either way, it makes my life super hard because we have to then assemble our screenshots ourselves, essentially, and create an SVG and then create a PNG of that SVG and then put that SVG onto a
Yeah.
canvas and export the canvas. It's like a juggling act, and I
That's funny
can't
because
do
you
that
like
for
you
iframes or anything else. What do you mean?
well, like I don't know. I'm one user, not a very huge one probably, but I don't need it or want it, Like I don't care that I can export from tldraw. Like what if only 18% of your users even cared that they even could do that? But it was 82% of your
Paid.
I don't know, paying users or your development time.
I think
Like
the
you
the
spent all your
promise,
time on
yeah,
it.
yeah, the promise, especially to developers, is that we've thought of all the basics, and we've thought probably too much about all the basics, and we've it's like it's handled, it's like solved essentially. Uh, but even for users, like there's a lot of like there's like a ton of edge cases and like many situations that most people won't get into. But if you're doing creative work, if you're putting ideas into a website, like real ideas of this is, I'm making decisions around what my website is going to look like, or I'm making decisions about what our roadmap is going to look like, or whatever. Then, uh, if things don't work, even if those are like small things that feel like they should work, of like, oh, I guess I can't, rotate things if they have different parents or something like that, right?
Mhm.
Or I guess I can't drag this into that, or whatever. Uh, or the system that I expect to work one way suddenly stops working that way. Um, I think that really undermines your confidence in doing creative work, or it certainly does for me. It always makes me, it gives me this moment of like, oh, like, all right, what else didn't they think of? Like how
Mm.
much can I actually trust this application, or how much can I trust this user experience, or it'll just take me out of flow, or like distract me or something. And the canvas is full of these places where different systems like undo redo or multiplayer or the whole scene graph or whatever, like they overlap in weird ways, and you just have to handle it. An example: if I have a shape and I put it into a frame, right? So it's like kind of a child of that frame. I can move the frame around, and that child moves too. And then I resize the frame such that shape is no longer visible, right? Like it's like it was on the left side, but I've made it narrower, so it's no longer kind of visible as in the frame, right? Frames clip their children. Um, like what should we do? Should the shape stay there and be like hidden within the descendants of this frame, and you would only be able to see it if you resize the frame again to show it, or should it fall
Mm.
out? Should it kind of just end up on the canvas because it's no longer like visible within its parent? Well, what if there's another frame sitting behind it? Should it fall into the next frame, or should it go back to the canvas? And
Rough.
actually, wait a second. If it's
That's
like
rough.
like a shape like an L, so some of its pixels are outside, but there's still part of its bounding box which are inside the frame. Like, should that fall out, or should it need all of its like all of its bounding box to be outside of the, not visible on the frame in order to fall out of the frame and all that stuff. And like we've handled all of that like at a level that is slightly ridiculous when you show it in isolation. But like if it didn't work, and if it didn't work consistently, and if it all didn't work, then tldraw just wouldn't feel good, and you wouldn't be able to maybe point to why. But like
you're not going to vibe code tldraw, I'm afraid. It's a little too complicated.
Maybe give it a couple of years before you try and tldraw. But I wouldn't put it past it. I don't know.
There's like a, it's boxes. How hard can that be?
Yeah.
But then like you're saying, you sweet summer child. That's the beginning of your naivety about the situation. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know. I'm messing with arrows right now, and and it's like I can't do that. Like or like I can spend my whole life making arrows point to boxes and then like bending them and like dragging them around and fix it. Like, but you guys do it, and that's probably a lifetime of work for me. It's
a lot of I've spent the better part of my my 30s thinking about arrows and working on arrows. So yeah, there's
fair enough.
Yeah, there's no bottom. Like it just goes deeper and deeper. The things that we've had to do and that we continue to solve, like with the canvas. But I tell people like when I'm talking to teams and stuff, and we're all developers. We tend to want to build things. That's our job, and so sometimes the communication on my side is like convincing people not to build something, which is kind of a harder thing to do. But
I suppose it is your job, kind of, right? Like this part is already done, so could you just do something on top of it? Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure you could do this, and that you would like, but there's a lot of stuff here that like you wouldn't do because you want to get to your cool, like the features that matter for your for your customers, or like that they will notice. And if copy and paste just kind of just works and no one notices it, no one questions it, it just works. Like, well, then that's a job well done. But that can take. Like it took us, and this is our thing, man, but it still took us like a lot of time to get that right. And so I'm like, oh, trust me, use my undo my canvas, whatever, and you build the cool stuff on top, and that's that normally is understood.
Yep, it seems like it's a pretty clear business model too. You have it's free to get started or whatever. Do you call it open source or source available? Or
I try to avoid open source because it's not really open source. It is
right.
Source available. It's all of our code is on GitHub. You can contribute, but you need to sign a CLA, and you need to if you do want to use it in production, like you need a license key, either a hobby one, which is free for non-commercial type of stuff, or if you're a business and you pay or you buy a license from us. But either way,
right, and it goes right from like you're talking to businesses that are using it as a part of their core business thing. So it's not like $20; it's $6,000 a year, right?
Yeah, for teams of under 10, it's $6,000 a year, but for larger teams, it's more than that.
It's email us, yeah.
There's not a lot of companies out there who are like selling JavaScript libraries or selling NPM packages, essentially.
Yeah.
But I hope there's more, honestly. Like I've talked to a lot of teams that are building fantastic stuff, and are frustrated just because there's like, but we can't, like, how do you even monetize this, right? Like, if you were making, Chris, did you make the shadow box or like the slider? Was that you or was that someone else?
I have made a couple of sliders, but that was that was like jQuery days stuff.
Yeah. But I remember, I thought that was your work.
I had one called the Anything slider. Maybe I did have a box one too. It's been so
like
long.
A light box, or shadow box,
definitely
or something
made
like
one
that.
And shipped it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like, if I don't know, maybe Shadowbox or whatever these like Lightbox kind of effects that was all over the internet in 2010 or something.
But what's the model? Because didn't we just
Yeah,
we can't keep you too much longer here. But there was a
go for it.
who's the was it Corey, the fellow who made Quiet or something just recently? Amazing package of componentry, all in web components, and decided to have kind of a similar model to you. Is that it's source available or whatever, but please buy a thing if you're gonna really use it. And he was out for a couple months or whatever, and he sold like 2, and his weren't $6,000. They were like, it was like $100 or something or less, wasn't it? So he's like, well, that's not gonna work, and so that's surprising. Like, what should we have told him? Like, I don't know, make it $6,000, or to make it, does that change people's mental math of what it's worth? Or
No,
was people just don't need another one of these because you got competitors for days, and there's probably one tldraw.
yeah, we're lucky that we don't have a lot of competitors, although it would make a lot of things easier if we had a lot of competitors, like pricing and such. But yeah, I think there's probably a few things. One is like if you do have a lot of open source competitors and it's maybe like a low where like the next best thing is good enough, then that's one thing, right? That's going to be a hard sell. Although you'll probably still find companies that were like, look, yeah, we could get this for free, but then we don't have a number we can call. Then we don't have any guarantee about maintenance or anything like that. So I mean, you could make a button component and say like, well, this is Dave's button, and if there's anything wrong with the button, you can call me, and like you'll probably sell it
day and night.
Right? Yeah, like day and night, 24/7. I got
it's
my
my beeper.
if it doesn't click, it's guaranteed to click. But if it doesn't click, I'll make sure that it clicks. So that's one thing. The other is just marketing, like making sure people know about your stuff is really hard, and that's true for any product, but it's also true for developer products, and making content and just making like marketing to developers is tough, and you can only really do it by building stuff, and that stuff has to be kind of cool, otherwise no one will notice. And yeah, I don't know, I don't have the answers here. Like we're very much figuring it out for tldraw, but probably something more than just putting an AGPL license on it and saying, I'll sell you the other license. Although that would be probably a place to start if someone wanted to get into this. It's just like saying this
Blackmail,
is
sort of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like that. It's just saying like these are the terms under which you can use this, and if those don't work for you, I'll sell you the other terms that will work for you. And yeah, companies tend to be pretty well, like honest, I would say, especially around licensing, because their lawyers will keep them honest. And if they ever want to raise money or go through due diligence or exit or something, someone's going to ask for, give me all the licenses of all the software of everything inside of your company. And
otherwise it's a litigation weakness.
Yeah. I agree. I think like we need like a term for it that feels more like almost like outer source, like I'm outsourcing like a whole critical feature, like Mux Inc.
Great example.
Has this media chrome web component video player that's fully customizable, stylable, everything. Speaking from experience, you do not want to build your own video player. It sucks. It's terrible. I hope you like chunking, because that's your life for the rest of your life now, And like, I think that's cool. I think like that is like worth like paying a big chunk if we're like whatever, CNN or who has a garbage one, or a news agency or local news player, like just pay for the media player that works good and is themable to your brand. Like, and same with tldraw. It's just like, don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. Like, just do this. If you make $1 bajillion, you can maybe do your own thing. But like, it's only pain. I wish we could like understand that and be like, for less than the cost of a full-time employee, you get extra bandwidth and a whole thing. That's amazing. It's an amazing deal. I don't know why it's not normal, but
I think there's Richard Stallman ruined it for everyone by
Yeah, that guy.
I think there is a culture of like just share your work, right? And there's not that many things that are so complicated and so undifferentiated. Like with Mux, if I did take those years and build my own video player or something, if I got everything right, it would just look like Mux. It would just
Hmm.
be the same thing that they ended up with, right? And it's not entirely true for the canvas because it's more kind of maybe opinionated. Although maybe it's not true for Mux. Maybe Mux is more opinionated than I can see from the outside. But yeah, if you really went hard at building a React-based canvas for a couple of years with like some really cracked engineers, like you'd probably end up with the same thing that we have, or at least since it's undifferentiated, since it's like a commodity feature, your users would just either assume that you'd made it with tldraw or just wouldn't even notice. It's just how a canvas should work, right? No one wants to build that stuff. I don't want to build maps. I'm never gonna like I'm gonna use Google Maps. Or I'm gonna use
That's a good
Mapbox.
example that nobody would even think about even trying to build.
Yeah.
Never. I could live a million years. I'll never
Yeah.
try and build a map. There's like spreadsheets or another one that's really gnarly, data grids, things like AG grid,
Mhm.
where you're like, oh
Mhm.
God, millions of rows and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to eat that. Like, let me buy let me buy that. Text editors are one of the most. I mean, yeah, like a good CTO would, shut down the initiative to build our own text editor for our thing that's not a differentiator, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's probably more of these things than even I've found so far. But video is a good example. Video is a great one.
Yeah. There's so much like don't pay the people who helped you, and I feel like that's maybe the piece that's missing in the whole like ecosystem is like, hey, chuck some bucks at those people who made your life way better. So
Yeah,
that's
I think even for like, I mean, tldraw started like with GitHub sponsors. Like that was my
yeah.
first way of like kind of monetizing or getting support for this project. And it was one of the bigger GitHub sponsors. I was one of the bigger GitHub
Sponsored.
the sponsored versions.
Receivers of it or
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever.
I had a lot of sponsorship, but at one point you had to be a sponsor in order to log into tldraw.com or to like
Mm.
visit tldraw.com. It could be any amount, even like $1, but you still had to be a sponsor. Uh, and
Yeah, a little wall goes a long way, doesn't it?
yeah, it was good. I picked up a couple of hundred sponsors that way, but it was also mostly just posting about about what I was
Yeah.
working on that people wanted to
Yeah.
say
Yeah, you say that all
hello.
the time, don't you, Dave? You should tell people about the thing that you do
Yeah.
a lot, all the time.
All the time.
Your thing needs to talk about your thing more often. Like
Mhm.
your product needs to talk about your product more often. So
That's a good.
let people know.
Yeah, that's a good
Well,
one.
Steve, we probably do have to call it. Thank you, though, for we've taken so much of your time. But for people who aren't following you and giving you money, how can they do that?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at I guess x.com/Steve Ruiz. Okay, and you can find tldraw there. X.com/tldraw. And if you want to use just the whiteboard, which, if you're somehow not a developer, but you just really like Dave and Chris,
There you
voice, you could, or if you are, tldraw.com is where you can do the free whiteboard. And then if you want to build something with tldraw, which I encourage, it's fun. If you know React and if you kind of know your way around TypeScript and stuff, like it's a really different way of building with the tools that you already know. I set up a little point, tldraw.dev/shop talk, where you can go. There's no discount, but at least I found out how many people came there via shop talk, and it's good
Nice.
times. And yeah, I mean we're all over the internet. You can find our GIFs and content and fairies and other things like going on. And
Cool.
hopefully you guys can put up some links to some of those other side projects like Make Real and
Yeah, of
Computer
course, we'll do that in the show
Sure,
notes for this show.
are fun.
Well, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This
Yeah.
has been very cool to see what y'all are doing. Pretty inspired. So,
Thank
and
you.
then thank you, dear listener, for downloading this in your podcatcher of choice. Be sure to like it and do the things. And then follow us on, I think, Mastodon and Blue Sky, and then join us over in the Discord, patreon.com/Shop Talk Show. Chris, did you have anything else you would like to say?
I'm just going to sign shoptalkshow.com like I'm using the pen tool on an
Nice.
infinite canvas.
Like the Disney outro, like woo.
Oh, yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
draw Mickey.
That'd be a good one. I'll do it for you.